So here we are back home, and the fires are still going on in the mountains in Colorado, but our home is safe, and we were completely blessed all through our experience. Even coming home to find that my very small solar setup kept my fridge running so that food and freezer goods didn't spoil, which, what a relief that was. But my heart goes out to those who have lost and are continuing to lose. This is a whole new chapter of life for them. And I pray that they see a vision ahead of them that gives them hope to build, rebuild, whatever they decide to do, that they walk forward always. I was reminded about how many things I've been through in my life that were tragic, that were crises, that caused me trauma. And just out of curiosity, I sat down one afternoon last week and I started to make a list of those. I kind of thought that was a little morbid, making a list of all the crises you've been through in your life. But it was important to see how actually major they were, how life-changing each one of them were. Deaths. First, the death of my sister when I was 5 years old. The death of my parents when I was 27 and I had 3 small children. Things like that really turn your little world on its head, so to speak. And you're floundering to find a way to walk forward. How do I get through this? How do I survive? How do I keep going? Because I have people counting on me for life. It's my responsibility to take care of them and to do what I need to do, but yet I need to be healthy in order to do that also. And as I sat and listed all of these traumas, which, just for your curiosity, it came up to 13, and they've gone all my life. At some point, I remembered realizing if I don't learn to get over this particular trauma, whichever one it was I was going through at the time, if I don't learn to get through this and to be healed from it and not carry the damage forward, I'm not going to be able to build and actually walk forward. I'm not going to be able to create a life that I want to live. I'm going to give up and not want to be here. And to me, that wasn't an option. I don't see that as a real option. I do believe that we, in conjunction with God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that we agreed to come, that we had a plan, that we came here to learn. We didn't come here to be traumatized and then check out. There was something to get from that trauma. And so I began looking at each incident that way. And when a new one would pop up in my life, the first thing I would say, instead of, "Oh my God, look what's happened," I would stop and say, "Okay, God, what's this one for? What's the purpose here? What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to grow from this? And how do I get through it? Teach me how to do this. And then I realized I needed to do it quickly, because life doesn't wait. There are new traumas waiting down the road. I know that's quite a negative way of looking at it, but for me, it wasn't exactly negative. It was a mountain range. Okay, I made it over this peak. Whew, wow. Okay, and I think I'm all right now. Oh, there's another one in front of me. Whoa. Well, okay, now how do I do this one? And I remembered asking Father at one point, is that what this life is about? Just one mountain after another that we have to learn to climb and go over the top and then walk away from it with, wow, well, okay, here's what I learned. Here's how it made me stronger. Here's what I'm taking forward with me. Is that what this is? A collection of, we collect these things like trophies? I made it over that mountain. Here's my trophy. And then what? At the end, we leave and we take all our trophies with us. I don't know. I do think that what we learn and what we gain does remain with us. I do believe that. I don't believe this is for nothing at all. We are spirit, we are energy, energy, scientifically, energy you can't destroy it. It continues to exist in one form or another. And I believe that's us. And that's what we do. Anyway, making my list, my morbid little list of all my traumas, at the end of it, I had to realize that writing each one of them down kind of brought them back in full memory. And I had to kind of push that down and say, no, we're not walking through this to relive it and to feel it all over again. We're making a list. Focus on your task here. And then at the end, I realized another thing. If I had stopped at any one of those, I would not have gained the others. Would not have learned all that I've learned. And it seems, to me anyway, like quite a treasure chest full of amazing stories, which is why I'm doing this now, and wonderful lessons that I love to share. I run into people all the time who are going through one thing or another or facing traumas of their own. And, well, honestly, quite often, I've been there, done that. Pretty close to what they're dealing with. And I might have 2 cents of encouragement. And that's what I hope this is for you. Because this morning I was also reminded of a story. Actually, I read one of my old stories from 11 years ago. And I was asking Father for the courage and the correct mindset to help me and my honey create what we envisioned. And that was at the last property that I sold 2 years ago. We had not been there long, and we had huge vision, but not a lot of money. And I was asking him, how do we do this? And I felt like he gave me the message, I have all the supply you need. All you have to do is reach for it and believe you have it, and you will accomplish a lot. And I read that. It was, he also used Jacob and Caleb. It's a story from the Old Testament. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they were like scouts. They went out into the new territory, the new land, to see what they were going to face. And they saw things that surprised them and shocked them. And some of them, there were 12 men altogether, not just Jacob and Caleb. I believe it was 12. Anyway, most of the men came back with stories of giants in the land. There were giants. And it scared them. They didn't believe that anyone should go that way. We should not go in that direction. We should turn and go somewhere else. That is not the place we want to go, because we are like grasshoppers to them. These people are like giants, and it's unsurpassable. When we see our mountain as giants that are unsurpassable, it means that we haven't healed and learned the lesson from the trauma that we just went through. Our mountains can't be something that stops us. That's not why they're there. They're there to challenge us to go higher, to climb harder, to think deeper, to reach farther than we ever have before. They are new. We all have a tendency to say, this is the worst thing I've ever gone through in my whole life. Well, yes, of course it is. It's supposed to be. If you're repeating lessons, it's because you're not learning from them. The lessons are supposed to be different on each mountain. So learn them. Figure out what they are. Ask God to help you understand what this is about, what this is for, and what it is, because it's for you. It's for me. I'm not here to learn for someone else, or because I need to blame someone else, or because the world is cold and cruel and it's everybody's fault and blah blah blah's fault and big corporations' fault and big government's fault, and it's everybody's fault but mine. You don't learn a dang thing from that. Not one thing. As a matter of fact, you go backwards. That's walking backwards. And you're not even facing backwards. So you're going to fall on your patoot, and it's not going to feel good. And maybe with that attitude, you're just going to stay down there on the ground, pampering your wounds. Okay, well, one time I remember saying to Father, when he gave me a little revelation about what the current lesson was, and in those days, I was big into, okay, all right, well, I need to go get my Bible and research scripture and find out if that's true. And long story short, eventually down the road, some years later, he showed me that when I did that, it was like I had this inner vision of him sitting on a chair with his legs crossed and his arms, and he was leaning back and he was kind of rocking and sighing. And he said to me, "Well, okay, let me know when you're done, because we've got stuff to do and places to go and adventures to follow." And I said, "Well, what is it that you want from me?" "Well, I want you to come to the place where you trust me in a way that when I say something to you, you believe it, and we can go with that and move forward into the next thing." It saves a lot of time if you can do that. So I thought, okay, I want to do that. Well, so I did finally learn to do that. And oh boy, most people don't like it when you tell them, "Well, God told me this." Well, okay, so she listens to God. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, it's true. And you have to walk that path and get to that place where you know the difference between God's voice and your own inner self-loathing voice that you haven't gotten rid of yet, or other voices that are negative that you pick up here and there from other people. Usually I tend to see that in myself quite often if I'm around someone for, sometimes it only has to be a few minutes, and I can come home and I'll say something, it's like, "Whoa, where did that come from? That's pretty negative, and that's not your normal. What are you doing?" "Oh, well, yeah." I sort of glommed onto that from them. It was their vibe, and I picked up on it, and I need to shake it off. Like that viper story, shake it off. So, and that's exactly what you do. Just let it go. It only takes a minute, actually. It might the first time or two take longer, but that's mainly just for you to learn how to shake it off. Anyway, we are home, and I didn't even have to struggle with spoiled food. And that's because 4 years ago, after my sweetheart passed, I was inspired to get a small solar generator, stick a solar panel outside, and see what kind of stuff I could run. I eventually got enough that I could run the fridge and the freezer. Here at this house, I brought that capability with me, and it basically runs my fridge, freezer, and my Starlink. For some reason in my mind, those are the things you need urgently to be okay and operating when some sort of catastrophe happens. And we're living on a world that we haven't learned to manifest the perfection of heaven in every area, every moment of every day. At some point we may get there, and God bless you if you do, or if you have already gotten there. Please share. I would love to hear. But I'm not quite there. I had to go to the tire shop yesterday and have a screw pulled out of my tire. Now, these are very nice tires, and they're only a couple years old. And suddenly I had a slow leak that told me, "Oh no, you've damaged one. How did you do that? Maybe my project's in the garage, maybe, who knows." I left something on the floor. I dropped something I didn't notice. Anyway, I got it fixed. I thanked the receptionist who squeezed me in because it was a very busy day for them. And afterwards, when she called me, she said, "This one is on the house. Marna, I hope you have a wonderful day." And I said, "Are you sure you want to do that?" "Yes, absolutely." So I left there with a catastrophe in one hand that turned into a blessing in the other. How amazing is that? I love it when those things happen, don't you? So whatever your catastrophe or your trauma or your level of healing, look for your little blessings because they're there. Be sweet, be kind. Don't let your trauma hurt others. So like, subscribe, and thank you so much for coming.